welcome back to another episode of Dialogue. I am so super duper excited about this episode. I get to sit down with Morgan Harper Nichols. This woman is beyond amazing, an extremely awesome worshiper. I mean, she's just great. So we'll just go ahead and get in. Thank you so much, Morgan, for being on the show. I am super excited about having you.
Well, I'm super excited to be here. I really am.
Thank you. I mean, I've been wanting you on the show for a really long time. You're such an inspiration. I look at you and the many things that you do, and I'm like, oh my God, you are a wife, you are an author, you are a speaker, and I guess with speaking, you can say a teacher as well, because everything that you do with your ministry, Quiet Woman, like, that's phenomenal. How do you do it? And you're a musician.
Yes.
Like, how do you do everything that you do? How do you balance that?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And when you get the answer, I mean, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I don't feel like I have a perfect way of doing a lot of different things, but I remember when I was a little girl, my mom would encourage me to create something new every day. Mm-hmm. And every morning we would get up and she would say, create something new, you know, whether it was drawing a picture or writing a poem or writing a song on the piano. So I think from an early age, I had this mindset of, you know, what's something that I can put out on paper or I can share with someone. And sometimes it's just for myself. But just the act of putting something down on paper or putting something out there saying, here, this is something that I've created. It takes a lot of discipline, and I'm grateful in the way that I started that at a young age.
Yes.
Thanks to my mom. She definitely really encouraged me to do that.
And your parents are pretty powerful as well. Like, I mean, your parents are pastors, they have a church. And so that kind of like everything that you do started at a very, very young age. Now, music, how did you get into being such a great worshiper? Like, it seems that music has had such a huge impact in your life, but where did that start?
Yes, it's my parents are both musical. My dad plays drums, my mom sings, and she did some really cool stuff back in the 90s. She would travel, and my little sister, she would sing as well. I would sing, but I would sing reluctantly. I didn't really enjoy, as much as I love to play piano at home or, you know, just kind of singing around the house. I never, ever thought of myself in terms of singing in front of people.
Wow.
Never, ever. It was always my little sister's thing. I mean, she's always just a natural born performer. And I was like, that's not really my thing.
That's not your thing. Yeah.
But when I was in high school, I remember this moment as clear as day. We were at my grandparents' house, and my grandfather, he's one of those people who likes to just pick up new skills and things. Like he's not like, okay, I'm old now, like I'm done. Like he reads the dictionary every day and he learns new instruments all the time. And one day we were over to their house and he was teaching himself how to play guitar. And he was like, hey Morgan, come on in here, let me show you how to play guitar. And I was like, all right, sure. But really I was just trying to be a nice granddaughter. I didn't really have that desire to, let's learn how to play guitar. That wasn't really there. But the moment he handed me that guitar, it was like something came over me. It's like, this is what you're supposed to do.
It's like you just had some type of overwhelming feeling.
And I know it was God, because I had never, ever thought of playing guitar before. That was never my dream. That was never anything that I never looked at guitars in the store like, I wish I had one of those. Never. It was never anything that crossed my mind. I mean, I always loved instruments. I was very fascinated by music, but in terms of playing guitar, there was something, I mean, it hit me like right away.
So is that when the songwriting now came into play?
Yes. Okay. This is all in a matter of months, if not weeks, where singing, songwriting, and playing all kind of happened at the same time. And this was also credited to my mom. Mama
is a powerful, strong woman. Shouts out to really Mama for real.
Mama knows best. So I was homeschooled. My sister and I both are homeschooled. And I was playing guitar, and I was starting to sing a little bit, because now that I was, from that moment forward, I was like, I got to get a guitar. So my grandfather, he let me borrow one of his, and I started playing it every day and teaching myself songs and singing a little bit. And Mom was like, well, why don't you write your own songs? And I was like, no. I was like, people don't do that.
She's like, Jamie does that.
Yeah.
You know?
I was like, no. It's like, people don't do that. That's not really a thing. She's like, no, it is. I mean, people write songs all the time. You should try to write one. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I was about 14, mind you. And she was like, well, I'm going to make it an assignment. You have to write one. So it's like, all right, thanks,
She was
Mom.
holding you accountable. Make sure that you did it.
Yeah, so I did. And the first song I wrote, it was called Preacher's Kid. And I'm a preacher's kid. So it was a storytelling song about a preacher's kid who felt like people were looking at them and waiting for them to fall and watching their every move. And that was the first song I ever wrote. The second song I wrote was a song about people who were drowning in their circumstances. And a month after I wrote that song was when Hurricane Katrina happened.
My goodness.
And I found myself where we were going to go sing. I was going to go sing at places where refugees were in the Atlanta area, because a lot of people came from New Orleans to Atlanta when that happened. And really one thing led to another from that, because I felt called to the ministry aspect of music, even though I didn't quite have my skill perfected. I didn't quite have the performance part of it perfected. It was something inside of me that I couldn't deny. Like I felt that desire to continue to put things down on paper, to continue to create things and share them with people. And
yes.
God chose to use music as a way to make that happen.
I love that you just said, you didn't have to have the skill of performing so well, or you didn't have to have all this perfect stuff to just get going. I think the beauty about what you do is you glorify God in everything you do. And like, you see that in your Instagram posts and your Facebook posts and everything that you do with your women's ministry, which we definitely got to get to that and talk a lot about that too. But just to know, I think that's what matters, is when you give your gift completely to God, He will turn around and use that gift and tell your story while He's getting all the glory. So I think that's amazing that I can see God in everything that you do, and so can many others. Keep doing that. I think that should be like encouragement for others who have the gift of music or the gift of storytelling or the gift to speak or they desire to have ministries. It's give it to God.
Exactly.
Give it to God, and He will totally, completely do all these amazing things in your life like He's doing in yours.
Yes, that's so true.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So let's get to the women's ministry that you started. How did that even come about? Now, was that before music, or was
this was after?
After
I started doing so during. I started blogging. I think around the same. Wow, I actually never put this together till now. I started blogging around the time I started writing songs. I never put that together.
Wow.
This is the first time, like, I was like, wait, when did I start my first blog? I was like, that was the same time I was writing songs for the first time.
Girl, God was doing something. Yeah. He was birthing some things out of you. I never put that
together until now. Wow. That's crazy. Crazy to think about that. So I mostly just would blog my thoughts, different things that were on my mind. And then one particular day, when I had been married for 2 years, my husband and we met in college, and he was my first boyfriend. I never had a boyfriend other than him.
That's amazing.
He was the only person, I was a virgin when I got married. I didn't date around. I didn't do a lot of the things that a lot of young women do. And I don't say that like, oh, look at me, I had this perfect life, because I definitely have my own battles and things I struggle with. But I found it strange that after I got married, people who were single started asking me dating advice and what to do about their boyfriend and what to do about their breakup. And I was like, why are you coming to me? Clearly, this is not my calling. That's not my story.
So you tried to run away from it?
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't deal with those things. I have compassion for people that do, and I will gladly refer you to a blog of a woman who has been through what you're going through, but I'm not the one.
Yes.
I'm like, I am not the one to talk about dating or relationships or, any of that stuff. I mean, I can tell you what I felt knowing that my husband was the one that God was telling me to marry. But beyond that, I found it strange that there were a few women and younger women who were coming to me and asking me for advice, because I hadn't been through any of those things. So I was like, well, maybe I should write about it. I mean, that's the one thing I know to do. I know how to write. I love to write. So I wrote a blog post called 40 Questions to Ask Yourself Before You Date a Guy. And it was just 40 things that I thought about. things that I had heard my friends and roommates have concerns about. And it was nothing but God, because I'm not a relationship expert, you know? It's like there's some women out there who God has brought restoration through what they've been through in relationships, and they can speak to people in a way that I can't as someone who didn't go through that. So it was shocking to me that God would even give me that blog post, because I'm like, I didn't even really date technically. Like my husband and I, between the time we met and got married, it was 10 months. So
it was like, God,
it was like here. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have to worry about any of that, but yet there was this like just fire inside of me that just kept putting it out there to like, write this post, 40 questions to ask yourself before you date a guy. And I wrote that in October of 2012. And in December of 2012, I got an email from a guy who was an atheist, who had found my blog for Christian women. So
an atheist found your blog that was written for Christian women.
And
it was
and he
a
was
man.
a guy, 18-year-old guy. And so that kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, okay, you know, I know you have your beliefs or lack thereof, but this blog isn't for you. Like, why are you here? Like, why do you care?
Yeah.
I couldn't even be upset. Cause I'm like, how did you even find this blog? I mean, it wasn't like it was on CNN or MSNBC or something. I mean, it's just yet another WordPress blog. You know?
Out of the thousands that are out there, actually millions.
Exactly. So I got this long, very passionate email, and he was just like, I cannot believe that you would try to tell women that, you know, they need to save themselves from marriage. You need to be empowering women. Like, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe that you're setting women back so far. Like, not all people have to be people of faith and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, like, this is way out of left field. Like, where is this coming from? So I told my husband about it. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but I got this crazy email from this guy, and I don't even know how to respond to him because he's not connected to anything I do. Like, I Googled his name, like nothing came up. And he was like, well, have you been to the blog lately? Like, have you checked it out? You know, just to see, like, have people been leaving comments and maybe there's an argument or something breaking out in the comment section? I was like, I haven't. So I went to the blog and I logged into like the back end of the blog, and over 2 months, I think the blog had reached 500,000 views. Woo! 200,000 pins on Pinterest, all from this one little post.
From one post. 500,000 views in 2 months.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
Yes, and the only place I had posted that link, I didn't post it on my personal Facebook. I didn't have the Instagram at the time. None of that stuff. The only place I posted it was on Pinterest. And this is like when Pinterest was first getting starting.
Yeah.
So some kind of way, somebody saw it and someone else saw it and someone else saw it, and it continued from there. And that's what birthed the ministry. It was that post, and people were leaving comments. Hey, can you do a post about this? Can you talk about this? Well, I'm dealing with this with my boyfriend. How do I know this? How do I know that? And I'm just sitting there at my computer like, Lord, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, like,
I am not skilled in this area. This is not something I never would have thought of myself as being in women's ministry or especially not dating. I'm like, I know nothing about this.
Okay.
But God was using me, and it took humility to realize that I was just a vessel. Like, he was just pouring it down into me, and he was just telling me, type it out, put it out there, and I'll do the rest.
And now this has led into, like, I mean, God, I follow your ministry. I follow and it's QuiteWomenCo, right?
Yes.
I follow QuiteWomenCo on Instagram, and I'm so inspired by everything that I read. And every time I see it, I'm like, God, you have really blessed this woman. You have really blessed this woman, because I'm like, she writes, and it's like, it's very powerful. It's not like it's something that you just threw together. You can tell that it's truly been inspired by the Holy Spirit, and that makes all the difference. And so now you're inspiring all these women. Thousands. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to reach millions soon. Like,
it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. I mean, I didn't have like a vision in terms of like, oh, I would love to do conferences someday or have a lot of people that follow this or whatever. It was just one by one when people were leaving these comments and sending me these emails. I was like, you know, that is something that is a huge problem in our culture. Like that is something that needs to be talked about in the church. maybe I could write about that. What does the Bible say about that? And I found myself just, reading the Bible more and digging into scripture more and asking questions more. And it really helped mature me in my faith, because even though a lot of this stemmed from talking about dating, there are so many other issues that women deal with, and dating is just one part of it. But it's just been amazing just to see how God has used me. And I always say this, I'm like, I cannot take credit for it.
Yeah.
I cannot take credit, because I'm writing from a place where I know He's leading me, because I don't even have the experience. I don't have the life experience, but it just reminds me of that scripture, where Paul's encouraging Timothy, like, don't let anyone despise you because of your youth.
Yes.
And I think so many times, like, we have things that we're passionate about, and we might talk to them about the people we're close to, but we don't know if we can post it on Instagram. We don't know if we can talk about it at church, because people might look at us and say, who do you think you are?
Exactly.
Offering this advice? Like, what experience do you have? Like how skilled are you? Like, what do you have to show for yourself? And we end up keeping it to ourselves, even though, like, we do have things we're passionate about. And it's daily for me that I have to just stop what I'm doing and pray and say, Lord, like, I don't know why you're using me. I don't, but you are using me.
Yes.
So I'm just going to be obedient, and I'm going to put these words to paper, or put these words into song, and you do whatever you want to do with it.
And you are doing just that, because I'm always blessed by the stuff that you do.
Thank you.
So now now I'm going to go back to music. All right. So you recently released an album.
Yes.
This was back in January.
Yes.
Storyteller.
Yes.
Now that girlfriend, beyond just awesome. Every song. And I mean, just to share with you guys a little secret, Morgan and I, we were talking a little bit about how she recorded this album. And to know that it was recorded in someone's basement, but to have that kind of excellent quality sound.
Yeah.
How'd you do all of that? Like, how did you come up with the concept of Storyteller?
Well, it was crazy with Storyteller, the song. The song was released in January. And it was the first song that I ever wrote. I was actually just talking about this last night. The first song that I ever wrote where I legitimately feel like that I don't have credit. I can't take credit for writing it. I was in our house. This is when we were still living in Atlanta. And I think we were actually getting ready. We were selling our house, and we were packing up and moving. And I was home by myself, and I was walking from my bedroom to the kitchen to get some coffee, because that's what I do a few times a day.
Gotta keep that coffee going.
Love my coffee. I love my coffee. I actually didn't have any today, so I'm really proud of myself.
Girl, it doesn't even seem like you missed out on your coffee.
Thank you. Sometimes I do that on purpose, because I'm like, I don't want to become dependent on it. So I'm like, sometimes if I'm like, I have to have a cup of coffee, I won't. Because I'm like, I can't. No, I do not want to become addicted to caffeine. Like, that is not my thing.
So where you just can't function without it, because there are many people that can't.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean, there might be a problem getting coffee beans, imported here or something one day. Sorry, that's not what we're talking about at all. But anyway.
See where coffee takes you? We know where coffee takes you.
Oh my gosh, it does. It does. But I was walking to the kitchen and just to make a cup of coffee, and out of nowhere, God gave me this song. On a Sunday evening, I'm looking back over all the years and where I've been, looking at old photographs, I'm remembering. And it was just one of those moments where I was just like, whoa, okay, I'm not sitting down to write a song or anything. And it just poured into me. And I stopped what I was doing. I think I was just packing in the room, just packing some boxes. And I went upstairs and got my guitar, and I played, and the words just came out. And I just wrote them down. And I hardly ever write songs down on actual paper, but I wrote it down on actual paper. And it wasn't quite finished. I ended up actually finishing it with my producer, Paul Mayberry. And but it was one of those songs where I could look at it, and I was like, some things that in this song, like, they're not even my experiences. But I feel like God is telling me that I need to put it down and he's going to do something with it. And that's the first song that I ever wrote like that. You know, a lot of times, you know, like I've been blessed to do songwriting, have a career in songwriting. I've gotten a chance to have a publishing deal and sit in rooms with just amazing, prolific Christian songwriters who have written huge hits. I mean, I'm so blessed that I've gotten to do that. But there's something about when you're in those intimate moments with God and he just starts speaking to you. And that was the first time where I felt it so clearly in a song. And that ended up being out of the entire album. The album dropped in May. Out of the entire thing, that was the first song out of the gate. That was the first song that people really responded to. And it's just been such a blessing. And just like the moment I started doing music, just like the moment I started the ministry, it's like, wow, I can't take credit for this. Like God he just used me.
And it's been top 100. That song on the album has been in the top 100 on iTunes since it released.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, every time I'm checking it, it's in there, and people are sending me messages. Hey, you're still charting. Like your album is still in the charts. Your song is still in the charts, and you know, some people might look at, oh, you know, top 100. That's not good enough. You know, that's not enough. But it's
girl.
But for me, it was just. You know, I had to get to a point. I mean, because it's hard putting yourself out there and putting your talents out there and gifts, and you can get really discouraged, like when you're not getting the traction, or when you're not able to make money off of what you do to be able to, you know, sustain a living.
Because it's expensive.
It's so expensive. It can get very discouraging. But I had to get to a point where I was like, you know what, Lord, like if one person hears this song, that's enough. Everything else is overflow. If one person hears it, that's enough. Everything else is overflow.
Girl,
and I've tried to hold on to that.
That's gonna hit somebody. I tell you, that hit me.
It's really it's hard to actually think of it that way every single day, because we live in a world where everything is about the numbers. It's about how many followers you have. It's about how much money you make. It's about, you know, well how, you know, what size waist are you? How much you weigh? How much weight did you lose this year? You know, how many inches is your hair length? You know, there's so many things that come down to that. But it's like, you know what? If God just uses that song to touch one person, it fulfilled its purpose.
Yeah.
Just one person.
Just one person.
Not even two.
Is just
one. Yeah.
Just one, and the rest is just overflow.
I try to hold on to that.
That's so good. Now, did you ever think back whenever you're like 3-4 years old, maybe 5? Did you think that this is where God would have you, where you are right now?
Yes and no. Yes and no. The first thing, you know how people ask little kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? The first thing I remember saying, and my parents have told me this, that I've always said, like, when I was a kid, that I wanted to be a missionary. Like, ever since I was a little kid. And it was, I don't know if it was like a missionary that came to our church or what it was. I always loved looking at like National Geographics as a kid, and I would just love looking at people who lived in different cultures and different societies, and I was fascinated by it. And when I found out that there are all these people in the world who didn't know Jesus, I was like, well, we gotta go do something about that, right?
You need to go spread that Jesus.
Yeah, I was like, what do we do? And I don't know if it was my parents. I don't know. I actually remember, I think it was just like a family friend. They're like, well, that's called a missionary. Like, there are people, they go, and I was like 4 years old, and I was like, there are people that go, and I'm like, I want to be one of those. I want to be a missionary. And the older I got, I would tell people, you know, because people love to ask little kids, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I would say a missionary. Like, oh, well, you know, you could be something else too, you know, and be a missionary. I'm like, no, I just want to be a missionary. I just want to be a missionary. So when I look at how God has used my music, even though I didn't see myself doing music, I did not see myself doing music. I did not see myself leading women's ministry. But it's missionary work. It's out on the mission field. So that's why I say yes and no, because it's just really cool how to see how God took something that I've been passionate about, this being a missionary since I was little, but the way that he chose to manifest it looked nothing like I thought it would.
Wow.
But that's the beauty of it. Like, God takes what we have and he's like, all right, you think you're onto something, but just wait till you give it to me and watch how I use it and send it into all these different channels.
That's the way it always happens.
Yeah.
It always happens that way. You
Exactly.
just never know what you think
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. It's almost like when you know, you're like, all right, I got a plan. Like you can expect God to like be like, nope, that's not the final draft.
Nope, not that.
It's like, you're right. You got the first draft. Good for you. But watch what I do with it.
Wow. So what's next? What's next for you?
What's next? I've been doing a lot of writing lately with QuiteWomenCo. I write every single day. I'm writing devotionals, and I'm becoming just so much more passionate about the written word. And I just love to write. So I am just finished a 366-day devotional.
Woo! I know that took a lot of writing.
A lot of writing. It was a lot. And as I was sharing with you earlier, I write in bulk. So I'll just take 2 or 3 days a month, and I just buckle down, and I'll just write.
That's so good.
It took a lot to get to that point, because at first when I tried to start working on this book, just doing it little by little every day, I don't know, that just didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, when I sit down and I clear my schedule, if I have a weekend or a few days to just sit, I just write. So
That's awesome.
That's mostly what I've been working on now. I'll be playing quite a few more shows in the new year. So about to announce some tour dates, which I'm excited about.
Woo!
That. So yeah,
I can't wait to actually see you live. Like, I can't wait until that day.
But I'm here right now. Okay.
You know what? Actually, I got two things. So I'm going to see you live. That's going to be our big treat. But I always have everyone dig out of the little magic box.
What is this?
Take a card. So have you ever played this game?
Card. No, I have not.
It's called Table Topics.
Oh.
And I love this. So you got to read it out loud and tell us an answer. Mm-hmm.
What would you try if you had no fear? This is going to sound super lame. It's going to be so lame. I would try some kind of activity that involves being in the ocean, whether it be snorkeling or swimming. I don't do anything that involves
walking on water.
Yes, that too. I don't do anything that involves bodies of water that are not contained in like a little pool.
Are you serious?
Sharks.
Oh my gosh.
There are sharks out there. There are all kinds of sea animals and things that, I belong on land. They belong in the sea.
I love the ocean. Like that's like my favorite place
I admire
to go.
people who can just walk out there in just total abandonment and just love the water and swim and
I am so
take
surprised.
cute pictures for Instagram. Nope.
She's like, that is not
You will
even
find me on the shore. Yeah. My husband and I, we went to Hawaii last year. Actually, he's Hawaiian. And it was his first time going back in 20 years. And his cousins were getting ready to go out into the water and do spear fishing. That's what people do. So we were all standing there on the shore, and we were praying, and his cousin prayed, Lord, like, let us not get it, let us avoid any sharks in the water. Like, this is like a part of his prayer. And I'm just like,
and you're like,
no,
that's why I'm not
going to
touching
Target.
the water.
So I did. My husband went out there, went spear fishing, and I went to Target. Because I couldn't even think about him being out there with sharks.
Oh my gosh. We got to plan a trip.
Do you watch Shark Week?
No. I'm okay with the sharks. Well, not really, but I just enjoy the ocean.
Yeah,
so.
I wish I could because it's so beautiful.
That is so
It's
funny.
The ocean.
It's
the ocean.
And that's where they belong. You're like, I just want to be on dry land. Dry land.
Yes,
oh my
dry
God.
land. Very dry land.
Well, thank you for playing my table topics
Yes,
game.
I love that.
So
cool.
before we go, I would love for you to give us some live. I forgot I get to experience that. So
sure,
please, if you could, and
yes.
Whatever you feel led to sing.
Yes. Is it okay if I get a drink of water?
Yes.
Okay,
go right ahead.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry. I was like trying to figure out, I'm like, where would like the commercial break be?
Oh, girl. Hopefully one day we get on that level. One day.
Yes.
So y'all help us get on that level, okay?
Yes, indeed. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna play Storyteller.
Awesome. I was so hoping you would do that.
Yes. a Sunday evening, I'm looking back over all the years and where I've been, looking at old photographs. I'm remembering you were right there, and you have been ever since. With every page it turns, I see your faithfulness. Ooh, the mountain where I climbed, the valley where I fell, you were there all along. That's the story I'll tell. You brought the pieces together, made me this storyteller. Now I know it is well, it is well. That's the story I'll tell. There were some nights I felt like they would last forever, but you kept me breathing and you were with me right then. And all that you have done for me, I can never hold it in. So here's to me telling this story over and over again. Ooh, the mountain where I climbed, the valley where I fell, you were there all along. That's the story I'll tell. You brought the pieces together, made me this storyteller. Now I know it is well, it is well. That's the story I'll tell. 'Cause you hold the broken, you heal my every cry, my every cry. And my eyes are open, and I know that it is well. It is well. Ooh, the mountain where I climbed, the valley where I fell, you were there all along. That's the story I'll tell. You brought the pieces together, made me this storyteller. Now I know it is well, it is well. That's the story I'll tell. That's the story I'll tell. For years and years and years I'll tell. That's the story I'll tell.
Wow. Woo, girl. That was so amazing. You sing with so much passion. You can just feel that. Like, that was amazing. Thank you so much for just gracing us and blessing us with your presence. Like, this was beyond amazing. I can't stop saying that. Guys, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you, Morgan, again. Like, it was a pleasure having you. If you want to find out more about Morgan Harper Nichols, all you need to do is visit www.QuiteWomenCo.com. QuiteWomenCo.co. Okay, all right. So either way, you can find her. Also, please be sure to support. We'll be providing information in the description box on how you can purchase the upcoming 366-day devotional.
Yeah, leap year.
Absolutely, 366-day devotional, as well as how to get her music. Until next time.